The Livestock Information Service will be a single multi-species traceability facility which we're building in collaboration with government and industry. This video gives you a taste of how easy the online version of the service will be to use. What you'll see is the early stages of development. We're working closely with livestock keepers and other users to continually refine both the functionality and the look and feel to make it as intuitive and as simple as possible.
So this is the login page. At the moment, this is a temporary page. The login will be a multi-species, so this screen will be used whatever species you are. In fact, the login will be whatever type of user, and then once the user is logged in, it'll take him to the keeper UI, the back office UI, the abattoir UI, which is all one UI, but just the same login, but just slightly different views of screens depending on who you are. So as I said, this is temporary, and we'll log in now. So I'm logging in as a keeper, and as a keeper I've actually got two holdings. So the home page, this is the home page, and we'll probably going to slightly redesign this so that we'll have my holdings, and then if you click onto those it'll show the species that I have. So this will get the species that I have registered to my holdings. That will come ultimately from Sam into the holding and keeper database, into CLA and here. So then I can go into a specific species for that holding. We'll come back to recent activity later on. This page will also show me notifications. Now, notifications are areas for my holdings which need looking at. So in this case it'll be movements that somebody else has recorded that I can go and confirm or amend or reject, and again we'll show you that later on. So I'm going to go into this sheep holding now, and those are those notifications, and we'll come back to them. The actual navigation at the top here changes slightly depending on the species. So as I've gone in as a sheep keeper into this holding, I've got the option here for tagging movements, recording deaths, animal details and reports. If I'd actually gone in as a cattle keeper, then that tagging would be changed and it would show as births. So with sheep, the only thing I have to report to the database, either by paper or through electronic means, are my movements. The rest of these other options, for example, tagging and deaths, are there if I want to record a holding register using an online holding register rather than using my a paper record. And we'll come and have a look at those in just a minute. We'll go into movements. Now, when I go into movements, I've got various options. So I then record whether it's an on movement or an off movement, or if it's an in business move. If I'm recording an on movement, it'll ask me both the arrival date and the departure date, but whichever one I enter first, it'll populate both of those at the same date, but I can change the departure date if I want to, so that it might have been the day before. If it's an off movement, I will only get the departure date because I don't know what day the animals are going to be arriving. And if it's an in-business move, again, I can record both ends of the move at the same time. So for this demo, we're going to do a movement off. If I've recorded holdings before, I'll have a list here of recently used holdings. If I haven't, I'm going to add one manually in a minute. We are also going to have some search facility. At the moment, we can only search on the CPH number. We will be able to search on the idea is it will be able to search on the type of business. So search on a market, for markets or abattoirs or other farms. And then also search for possibly the first line of the address and the postcode as well. So it'll give the keeper a lot more accuracy and more chances of actually getting that holding correct. In the cattle side of the program, this feature here, the actual selecting the other holding, is optional because cattle keepers do not have to record the other holding. But in the sheep side, it's mandatory. So we'll select a date. And we'll go for the 16th. If I'd put any more than 3 days ago, then I would get a warning to say that it's over 3 days. It'll let me do it because I might have actually just been late in doing it, but it will warn me. And if for sheep, I can also put tomorrow's date in as well, so that if I wanted to get my paperwork done tonight, ready for an early pickup tomorrow, I can do so. I'm just going to type in that the other holding it's going to, and as I'm doing a search, yes, that's the correct holding. The other thing that we've got on the movement screen is the facility to record standstill options or other types of moves, as you do on the movement document. So we've replicated those, and so if I say yes, there's various options here for recording moves to either a CPRC or to an isolation unit, and these are configured within the CLA. So if these change or new requirements come in, or some of these disappear, or wording needs to be changed, then it's a simple change of configuration within the CLA, and that would automatically disappear or add a new one here. So for the purposes of this, we'll just select moving to or from an isolation unit and continue. Then we come to the section where you can add the animals which are moving, and we've offered the user various methods to do that. They can record a batch. So if we record a batch, so I'll just type in a number, and I can record a flock number. Let's type in another one, 3, and add the batch. And I can put a description if I want to as well. If I have to record a batch within batch, so therefore all the different flock numbers within that batch, I can just keep on adding. So we'll say 2, add that one, and add that. And you can build that up. So you start to get a list of all the different batches within that. If I want to record some individual animals for the movement, I've got various ways to do that. We can select from animals on holding, which I'll come back to in a minute. We can also upload a file. So if the keeper has recorded a list of animals using, for example, a reader, or they have the animals in a spreadsheet, they can browse, click on the browse button and go and find that file within their computer and upload it that way. The intention is that we will probably provide some templates so they know the format, and we'll definitely give them some guidance. With the text on screens and all the help, we are working on looking at all the text on screen, and then we'll be providing some help files and help on screen where required. So the other option that we have for entering individual numbers is adding a tag number range. It might be that animals are being loaded into the lorry and being tagged at the same time. So the likelihood there, if they are being tagged with breeding tags and pairs of tags, is that they'll be consecutive. So we'll give them the option there to enter the flock number, the start number, and the total number of animals. And then that will individually list all those animals. So rather than the keeper having to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they'll have a list of those. Now, if they've messed up one of the tags in that run, they'll have the option to remove that animal from the list. But it's an easier way, hopefully, that they can use to add animals. And the other way that we have is to add animals manually. So they can type in tag numbers here. They can also cut and paste. So they might have the animals in a Word document or a notepad, or in a spreadsheet that they don't want to upload the whole spreadsheet, but they want to just select a few animals from that, so they can paste those into there. If the animals are already recorded as being on the farm, the keeper's got the option to actually select from a list of tags on farm. This table is the same throughout the application, so it's the same in cattle and pigs and deer and goats. We can search by an individual tag number if I just start typing in the last few digits of something. So if we did 460, as you can see, the actual list reduces here. Let's just delete that a minute. I can also filter it by specific breeds that I've got on farm, or by genders and ages. Once I've done my filter, or if I don't want to do my filter, I can select animals by click on the add button at the side, and that will populate a list of tag numbers down below. Once I've actually added those animals, and also with the batches there, I will always have the option at this point to remove those if I realise I've got something wrong. So we'll leave that. So we've actually got, how many others? We've got 9 in batch, and we've got 2 individual tag numbers. The other things that keepers are required to complete on the movement document is transport information. So we can give the keeper the option to do that here if they wish to. And they can choose who's actually doing the transporting. Is it the departure keeper, the receiving keeper, or the haulier? We'll select the departure keeper here. They'll be able to choose from people they've used before. And they can also enter the departure time and the estimated journey time as well if they want to. So if we go continue at this point. The other thing that keepers may need to record on their movement document currently is the food chain information statement. So for those who aren't aware of that, this is for animals which are moving to abattoirs or to markets which will be going on to abattoirs. They have to make a statement to say whether the animals are suitable for the food chain. They don't necessarily need to do that if they're moving from farm to farm, for example, but they do if they're going to slaughter. So we've given them the option to record that here. So if they said yes, they want to record FCI. To start with, they've got 2 options. Are all the animals satisfying FCI statements? If they are, they can go tick yes. If they're not, they can say which ones aren't and the reasons why they're not. This page will be changing slightly, but ultimately it'll be collecting the same information. And we will also put on here that the food chain information that they are signing to. So we'll say that they satisfy all statements now, and then we'll go continue. So now we have the summary. So before I submit this movement, I've got an option to check that everything is correct on it. So I can check that the date's correct, the 2 holdings are correct, the exemption type that I've recorded is there. And if I expand these buttons, you can see those are the 2 batches that I recorded, and those are the 2 individual animals I recorded, and the departure information and FCI. Now, at this point, I can click on one of these edit buttons. It'll take me back to that section within the with the workflow, and I can modify it there. I'm going to submit it, and just make a note of that number. Okay, so that's movement. So one of the other things I mentioned earlier, that if they want to use the online holding register, they have to record tagging, movements and deaths in the holding register. So in recording a movement, that will automatically complete this keeper's holding register. They can go and record tagging, and I won't go into here in detail, but they can record the date that they applied the tags, and if it's breeding tags, they can put in the information they need to, so the year of birth and the breed, and they can add the animals the same ways they did in the movements. So they can either add a tag number range or upload a file. So they're obviously individually tagging the animals at this point. They won't be select from animals on holding because they won't be in there at that point. So they can also record slaughter tags. Same sort of principle, and you've got the flock number and how many with that flock number are being tagged. We've also given them the option to record individual animals. With this, they need to select an individual tag, and these are tags which have been allocated to this holding by Lewis, but haven't been allocated yet to an animal. So they can select an animal, individual tag, they can put an individual birth date, a breed, and a dam and sire as well if they want to. This may not be used by many people, but it gives people who are smallholders or pedigree people who aren't recording in any other systems the option to record more information than just a tag number if they want to. The other thing that they can record in tagging is replacements. This is another required element of the holding register. So they can record the date that they applied the replacement tags. And again, this is either going to be a breeding tag or a slaughter tag. So they can select from animals on holding, or they can enter a tag manually. So in both cases, they're either selecting the previous animal or entering it manually, and they're putting in the old tag number and the new tag number. With the slaughter tags, they're putting the old flock number and the quantity replaced with a new flock number. We've also given them the option to upgrade. Now, keepers who have got animals tagged with just a slaughter tag or single slaughter tag, and if they want to keep them for breeding, they have to take that a single tag out and put a pair of tags in with their own flock number. So they've got the option here to record the old slaughter tag and the replacement tag number for that animal. So that's tagging. The other thing that they need to record in the holding register, if they've opted to use the online one, is deaths. So very similar to the other screens, they record the date of death, and if it's breeding tags, they're selecting from a list of animals on holding or entering the tags manually, and if it's slaughter tags, it's recording the total number of animals and the flock number. So it might be that it's not actually slaughter lambs that have lost the tags, but if you've got some ewes that have lost their individual tag numbers and the ears have gone or whatever, they can still record the deaths of animals, but without a flock number if they want to. So the total number of animals and just the others blank. They can also record missing in the same sort of way. I want to record missing, again, the date, either selecting animals from a holding, entering the tags manually, or batch identifying the animals. And then when they find the animals, they can do the same, enter the tags manually and batch. Once they've recorded all that information, we've got the option for them to look at their holding register. And they can just, if they want to just look at certain sections of the holding register, they can. I'm going to select all entries at the moment. This at the moment will bring up a PDF of their holding register. We are looking at other methods to see whether we can actually have a more interactive holding register built into the user interface. But at the moment, this just brings up everything they've recorded. And if they want to change anything, I'll show you how they can do that in a minute. So this is the holding register that we know and love. So you can record your replacement tags. I haven't recorded any. These are the tags that I've actually recorded as when I identified them. Then you've got your death section, and then you've got your movements off. So I think I recorded those on the 16th. I've recorded more on that date. So these are and if I've recorded more going to the same place on the same day with the same haulier, then it just amalgamates that in the line here. So I think that was on the 16th I recorded those, and it'll be one of these. Those are the two animals. Oh no, here it is. The two batches and the two individual animals recorded on the 16th of April. So that's the holding register, and you've got your on movements, and you've also got the annual inventory, and we have a place in the UI where they can record that as well. So if we go back to here, so I think that's sheep. What we'll do now is just have a look at some of the notifications and the recent activity. We'll go into recent activity first. Okay, so this is all that I have reported, basically. So everything that I've reported, and this isn't the end design. We hope to have a few more filters on here, so it'll be easier to find. So this is the one that I've just recorded just now, number 506. And if we view that, so we had those two individual animals, and we had so the two batches there and the two individual tag numbers which are there. If I think, oh, that's all wrong, I can cancel that. I can also go back and amend that if I want to, if I suddenly realise I've got it wrong. Provided the other keeper hasn't confirmed the movement, I can go in and amend it. So if I click on the amend button, it brings me up with a very similar screen to what we had when we had the summary just before I submitted the movement, but at the top it says amendment. And here again, I can just go back to any of these options. And if we go back to this one here, for example, it'll pre-populate everything, and I can say actually that one didn't go, and then continue and continue and continue. It'll retain all the other information, and then I would submit it. The other thing that I can do on the home page, on the holding summary, sorry, I didn't save that. So on the holding summary, these are the records that other keepers have made which relate to my holding. So if somebody has said recorded a movement from their holding to my holding or vice versa, but they've recorded it before I've recorded it, I will get a notification to say this happened, there's a movement that relates to your holding. So we just go down to this bottom one here. I've got the option then to confirm that movement if I want to, by accepting it as is. So this was just 5 animals with no flock number arriving on my holding from this holding here. So if I wanted to say, actually, I know those tag numbers and I want to actually record them manually or individually rather than just have 5 unknown animals, which shouldn't happen, but who knows. I can then enter those manually, and I can remove that line there. I can add in more flock numbers. So really in this screen, I've got the option to add or remove animals, either by batch or by individual. If the move has been recorded to my holding, I've never heard of the animals moving onto my holding, so the other keeper had got the destination holding incorrectly, then I can reject the whole movement. So what this does is if I accept it, that automatically then goes into my holding register. So the fact that the other keeper has reported the move to my holding will complete his holding register, but it won't complete mine until I've accepted that movement. So each keeper has total control of their own holding register, sorry. So if we go to the home page again, I'm just going to now just briefly show you around the cattle side. We've designed this multi-species, so wherever we possibly can, we've made the screens the same. So if we go into cattle here, the movements will be identical to the sheep. The only difference is on the movements, we don't have the batch option, and there is a voluntary option to record the other holding. So as I mentioned before, on the sheep side, this said tagging at the tops. This says now births. So this is the first pass at the design of the screen. I think there's going to be a few tweaks, but ultimately it's going to be capturing the same sort of information. So as with the sheep on the individual side, there is when we click on the tag number there, this retrieves those tag numbers from Lewis via the CLA. And this will only populate this list with tags which have been allocated to that holding and also have not been used on another animal. So I can then select a tag number, I can enter the date of birth, I can select a breed from the breed list, and once I've used breed, next time that breed will be at the top of the list so that I don't have to keep on searching for a breed every time, because I may only have 1 or 2 breeds that 1 or 2 bulls that I have, so therefore 1 or 2 breeds. I can then put in the gender of the animal, and we've got the option here, if the animal was born following an embryo transfer, they can say yes it was, and they can enter the genetic dam. Now it's either a dam that was on holding, but more likely it would be in a donor dam, so they can type in the tag number or they can select from on holding, and then they can record the birth dam. If it wasn't following a embryo transfer, then they've just got the birth dam. Again, that will select, give you a list of tags or females which are on farm and are eligible. And the sire option here, again, from on holding or as an AI sire. There is an option here as well to record another animal using the dam and sire, so you don't have to record all that information again if it's the same dam and sire. So likely it's going to be the same date of birth or breed if it's the same dam. The other thing on the cattle side is we also give them the option to record, have an online herd register as well here. So all these items here, so births, movements and deaths, have to be reported to CTS anyway at the moment. So they have to be recorded to the central database. However, if a calf dies before tagging, it doesn't have to be reported to CTS at the moment, but they do have to record that in their herd register. So we've given them the option to, if we record the date of death as the 16th, and we can say the calf died before tagging. And if this is the case, they need to record the date of birth and the dam, and we've also got the option there to record the breed. So that will then put that information into their herd register. So other than that, this is all very, very similar. It also produces a herd report, the same as it does for sheep. And I think that's most of it. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've done a small work on pigs, but understand that pigs is going to be pigs. You require pre-notification of movements, so we'll have to design some screens to cater for that in a easy way. We've got if you click on the deer holding, I won't go and do it. We've got movements and reports for deer and animal details. And that's the other thing I haven't shown you. Pigs will be the same headings for pigs at the moment. So if we just go back into cattle a minute, and I'll show you what the animal details screen does. So there's nothing in here that they need to have for statutory purposes, but it helps the keeper understand what data is in the database. So this is a list of all the cattle on farm. Again, as we showed you in the sheep movements, they can search for a tag number by typing in a tag number. They can reduce the list. So if we kind of clicked on that, for example, that's all the Dexters. They can say all the females, and that reduces it further. So they can narrow it down to the list. Then if they want to, they can have a look at a specific animal. And we'll click on this one here. And so this one, it's dummy data, so we don't have the dam and the sire for this animal, but we do have some movement history for it, and we do have some progeny information as well, which is a bit odd. So here, I just selected the calf, and you can see because we have a dam and sire information, that's actually listed here as well. With the dam, that wasn't listed because we didn't have it. So it'll show all the information. This information here on the left will be there all along. So the breed, the gender, the date of birth, and the age is calculated from that. And the dam and sire will be displayed. And the genetic dam, if they've got a genetic dam, will also be displayed. So that's a screen where to help the keepers. And the other thing that we were looking to have either on here or on the holding summary, or possibly both, is just a summary at the top and a little table saying how many males, how many females, and split into age brackets. So just to give them an idea of how many animals that the CTS or this system, sorry, CLA thinks are on their holding at that point. So I think that's it. I'll stop sharing my screen and thank you very much.